You guys, welcome to an all-new episode of So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today, we have one of my favorite people. We got to hear him in a little interview a couple weeks ago with his co-host Evan Reel for Page Six's virtual Reali-TEA. But this guy does it all. He also does a Betches podcast called Not Another True Crime Podcast. And I got to meet his co-host the other night, and she was great. But he has his hands in everything. Cashmere Danny on Instagram. Venti Vents. I mean, the guy is completely hysterical. He loves everything that we love, and he will be at BravoCon this week, so it is going to be insane, but we need to talk about all things pop culture and reality TV. Danny Murphy, welcome back to the show.
Hi. Oh my God. I'm so glad to be back so quick in flow because I just love talking to you. And I also love that we can say we're both two little betches.
We are in the Betches ecosystem, and I'm so happy to be here. You just are getting back. Where did you go? Scotland, Ireland?
Yes, and London. So I did Dublin, Edinburgh, and London for a 10-day trip. Ate a lot of carbs, got sick, but not from the carbs. The scones kept me very healthy, but it was just everybody sneezing on the plane, which was my downfall.
And it wiped you out. Was it worth the trip? How much it wiped you out?
Can I tell you something? Well, speaking of pop culture, it was so worth it because if any person who listens to this is in any of those places, I saw Nicole Scherzinger, from Pussycat Dolls and the Masked Singer. She is in Sunset Boulevard. You know that movie?
Yes.
It was a movie, now musical.
Yeah,
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
You saw it?
Ryan, when I tell you, one of the best theatrical performances of my life.
Okay, so you guys...
So good.
Well, no, I'm a theater geek. I saw the original Andrew Lloyd Webber production with Glenn Close in the right when Sunset Bull and they used to, I don't know if they still do it, but the stage was this the stage lifted. It was this really huge stage production where they lifted the first set into the sky and then another set came out underneath it. As a high schooler, I was so nerding out over this show, but I saw the Nicole Scherzinger pics where she has blood all over at the very end, but
all over. And it's very much, it's kind of the opposite of it. It's giving sort of Le Labo Store, the Row, Mary-Kate Ashley layout in terms of set. There's no set, but it's very modern twist. It's sparse, but it works so well. And she got 3 standing ovations throughout it and deserved 5. Her voice, and I know everybody's the girl who sang When I Grow Up, Google just her, Andrew Lloyd Webber on YouTube, because she's done Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. She's done a few songs. I think Memory, Think of Me, all this stuff that's on YouTube. She was born to be, I literally turned to my friend. I was like, there's still divas alive. And it made me so happy. I mean, and still doing stuff. She was so spectacular. And I literally landed in Newark Airport just being I don't know why I'm frightened. I was in customs just basically belting out. I almost got detained, I think. It was amazing.
I love victories for people that I don't I wouldn't expect Nicole Scherzinger to knock it out of the park on an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical.
No, because she's was a pop girly.
Yeah, did you sing, was Buttons in this? It was...
Okay, well, let me tell you, I fucking love that song. Beep.
I do too.
Beep. Oh, that's the thing where you go back, you're wait, she's always been this impeccable. And she was on she's a Masked Singer, judge where you're so she's in a group chat with Jenny McCarthy. That doesn't really give me vocal stage presence energy. No offense to just Jenny, but I didn't know what to expect, but wow, I feel almost... And they kind of there's some little poking fun of her being a pussycat doll, not in the script, but in some of the artwork that is in the in-between parts. But she really would make any person who goes see it, they're going to be oh, she deserves everything.
You know what? You're not the first person I've heard that from. I was seeing that pop up on social media of people going you need to go, you need to run. And I was well, I can't go overseas right now. But I was it kind of gave me chills seeing the pictures of her at the very end, all bloody.
And my favorite is when the claps at the end happen, no one is smiling. They stay in character for the bow. And I was oh, now this is London. I was this is Broadway's, because Broadway, everyone's goofy. It's it's the end of SNL, everything like that. I'm oh no, they are not fucking, they're no, you are bowing for the character, not for me. I would fly back right now for it. Like, truly.
Good for Nicole Scherzinger. I mean, I love that. I love that pop culture. I love people when they take pivots in their career. And I was just talking about this right before this, is just that we've now been fans of pop culture so long, is that we have like decades with these stars, and we've seen pivots in careers. I mean, we have the Britney book coming out this week, and it's wild that I keep hearkening back. I'm like, I remember the first rumors about Britney, like an old man, like, yes, I remember when she lost her virginity. Yes, like and now we're getting like, who knows how much of it is her actual. I always get scared of like, is this her actual story? But it's wild now to have decades of a relationship with these pop culture figures.
It's crazy too, and it's such a thing where I feel with like a Britney, even we remember people as the first time we see them almost. And I feel that's even for like people we know, where it's like, oh, but that's Britney. Where it's like, oh wait, no, these are like fully fledged like humans living life, having developments, having these changes. So where you're like, for even like Nicole, it's like, no, you're the pussycat dog. Like, oh no, she's actually like a 45-year-old woman now who has like interests and passions and has grown and everything like that. Where it's like, Britney, I'm like, what are you talking about, Brit? It's like, oh, you have the woman in me that's coming out. I am so excited to that.
There seems to be this like period of time with all pop culture figures where it makes the audience member think that they woke up and like missed 10 years of their life. You're like, I always go like, wait a sec, how are we here? How was that 20 years ago? There's like, well, what happened the last 8 years? Like, I forget like a whole 8 years of these people's lives. Like, there's elements of that with Lindsay Lohan. There's elements of that with Paris Hilton, where I'm like, wait a sec, so she was DJing, and then all of a sudden around like pandemic, she came back, she did a YouTube document. Like, it's weird.
And now she has a baby.
Yeah. I mean, it is weird that there's these like, we now get to see the other side of their careers after a period of time where they weren't the young hot thing, if that makes sense.
I mean, talk about it being Sunset Boulevard, because that's the entire ethos of that show, where it's like you're seeing these people that had maybe their glory moment and everything, and it's like, oh, they still got bills to pay and they're still doing what they want to do. They're still out here. Yeah.
I mean, Timberlake's like, I'm trying to set myself up for the rest of my life, and now I have to worry about a book coming out. And it is, I mean, we will have Justin Timberlake discourse until the end of time. This man cannot do anything right, you know, whether it be Janet Jackson or Britney Spears.
Or his last album. Yeah.
It
was so bad.
Man
it was
in the
so
Woods.
bad.
Yes, I actually wanted to like Man in the Woods. And he's just sitting there, you know, not minding his own business because he's trying to do an NSYNC reunion potentially. But I just love these things that he potentially doesn't expect to come out of, like, oh shit, you're going to talk about that? That was 20 years ago. Please don't do that. Please don't. Like, you just wonder what is going on in this man's head.
I know. Well, that's how you know he's a simple man, because he doesn't realize the best revenge is served cold. You got to wait. You have to be, oh, you're going to sleep with your Jessica girl and you think everything's all good. No. Britney's here.
Every day he just wakes up in like a cold panic of like what is going to drop next.
It's what he deserves.
Well, and that's why I'm sure you hope that Jada Pinkett Smith thing had got a little more like, God, if that could have just lasted one more week. And like, I love that the Jada Pinkett Smith headlines died down because we had Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears headlines.
Oh, and the Britney is so overpowering. Even like I saw like that Meryl Streep was divorced 6 years ago. I was like, I don't care. I'm like, okay.
I didn't even realize Meryl was married. Good for her. You know?
And also, it's like 6 years is almost too long a time where you're like, why are you telling us now? I'm almost like, Meryl, what's happening?
But you know what? Like 6 years ago when it actually happened, wouldn't have cared either back then.
No.
Like, and I love that Meryl Streep. Could you imagine if all of a sudden, like, Meryl Streep for the first time of her life gets on Twitter and goes, this man's got a small dick, and I was just tired of him not giving me the hot beef and like if Meryl Streep just completely unmeryled herself.
She just goes full blow. Yeah, she's like, yeah, this is my new Meryl era. Honestly, I would love that for her.
Oh my God. Like Meryl actually had also me and Justin had a child. We actually did have the child, and his name's Timmy and he lives in Singapore. No,
that'd make me look at Meryl a little. I'd be like, Meryl, come on, girl. I thought you had taste.
Yeah. Could you imagine we're now in the era where Meryl's a mess? Like, oh, you're so sloppy, Meryl. Oh my God.
Honestly, she's been so good for so long. Get her. Let her have a little Cabernet and get a little sauced. I don't know. Her and Christine Baranski.
Ooh, Chet Hanks is looking good over there. Woo!
Now that could be.
I thought you were about to say Chet is hot, and I'm like, whether that be the case or not, that's just not good.
I mean, objectively he is, but he's a mess and an awful person. But take his shirt off and he's handsome.
Um,
It's kind of like when you like see like the trash islands that are gonna kill us all because it's just like pollution in the middle of the earth. So like they're kind of shiny because it's all the soda cans that we like recycle but we don't. And I'm like, wow, that's a pretty reflection as like my face is melting off. That's kind of Chet Hanks.
well, Chet Hanks is in the new season. It's not. They're still. They just finished filming. I think The Surreal Life, and Kim Zolciak Biermann is in there. And there was, I think, a Page Six article, by the way,
yes,
about that Chet Hanks and Kim Zolciak were hot for each other. And I just keep thinking about that, of just the potential of Kim meeting Tom Hanks.
Oh,
of what
gosh.
that's like. I mean, just how that, because he's, Tom seems like he tries to be nice to everybody. How does that even work?
I think I don't know how much Tom and Rita are like. They're sending nice texts and I'm sure checks to Chet. I don't know if they're like routinely having lunch. I can't imagine that.
No, I would really strongly discourage all of that. But I just can't imagine, Tom worked his whole life, such a respected actor. And then you've always, and no offense to Chet Hanks, like, we're all trying to get by, but at the same time, it's like that one thorn. You're like, ooh, Chet's doing something again.
It's almost a good, because a lot of people, because like I feel when they talk about having kids and how kids are so important, love your kids if you have a kid, but they're like the legacy that carries on. And I was thinking recently, I'm like, I'm not going to remember Gwyneth Paltrow because of Apple. I mean, the naming her kid Apple, I'll remember, but it's like that. I'm like, I don't think Chet Hanks is going to carry on the legacy of Tom Hanks. So it's almost kind of like, yeah, it's a gamble. It's a gamble with your baby.
Well, we had, speaking of Gwyneth Paltrow, she came out swinging last week to once again bring the Nepo baby conversation back into play and saying it is so unfair that it is just like, you wouldn't do this to doctors and plumbers and things like that. I'm like, no shit, we wouldn't do this to doctors and plumbers. It wouldn't even be a conversation. But yes, I'm sorry, if your child chooses to be an actor and it's Gwyneth Paltrow, there is, like, Nepo baby, it's not a great phrase. It's fun to say, but like, listen, if you choose to be in a limelight kind of scenario, it is going to be talked about because no one, it's like people still trying to, like when Tori Spelling says, oh, my dad didn't even know I was auditioning for 90210. I fought for the part. Bullshit. Like, no, I'm sorry.
Well, because it's also that, because it's like, plumbers have to go to schooling and get certificates and like pass everything to become a plumber. Doctors have to go to medical school to become a doctor. So they have to like prove themselves in their skill versus the actors just kind of show up. Yeah. Because like also that's the hard part, to get into the showing up for that. Like, you know what I mean? Because then from there it's like, oh, who's the girl saying a few lines? Oh, that's someone's famous kid. All right, versus everything else.
Yeah, it's like Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter just gets like under 5 lines where she's like the barista. Like, your coffee's here. And like, Gwyneth has to be supportive of her daughter just getting co-star roles, like little tiny roles. But like also, if you love acting that much, get into the theater, go to Yale School of Dramatic Arts, like really treat it like a profession.
Go to the West End. Nicole's doing it. Come on, baby.
Join the Pussycat Dolls. Get into the Pussycat Dolls. That's a direct feeder into Broadway in London.
Honestly, it's the long game. And that's actually what a career is. It's a beautiful victory lap.
Speaking of a victory lap, you and Evan will be going to BravoCon for obviously, which is just going to be a mess. I mean, I'm guys scared. Will be getting so much content out there. You get the best guests on virtual reality, and I already was just over the moon talking about your live shows. But how do you even approach BravoCon? And do you guys have conversations about how you're going to tackle this together?
It's so funny. Someone literally at work asked today, it's like, oh, should we do a Zoom meeting beforehand? And I was like, I guess so. But how do you plan for like 200 or whatever reality stars in Las Vegas for a weekend? I just feel like you have to just go in to the chaos, because I don't know what to expect, and the people you hope to talk to, like if they're around, if schedules go according to plan and everything like that. I think it's going to be a delightful, beautiful disaster. It's what, and in a great way. Yes.
The egos are going to be bigger than the sphere. It's going to be insane. I mean, people are I mean, I really am truly excited to see what even, because Page Six will be the place to go to see which stories get pushed out of BravoCon. And that's what I'm interested, because last year we had the Beverly Hills Stampede where everybody was freaking out. And then like from there, it was like, oh, this is such a wreck. And I had the best time ever. I didn't think it was a wreck at all, but I'm so curious of what that first story that's going to get pushed out to outlets on Friday next week.
And then also where it's like when someone says something that they don't think is shady and then it becomes a mess. Because that was my favorite from last year, where it's like someone said something on one panel and then it already made the round. So the person they said it about who's on another panel.
Yes.
And it was like Frito-Lay's girl group. And it's like, they're like, well, I actually have some fucking shit to say. And like they're missing every mark because it's like you're trying to control these reality stars, but they just have obviously minds of their own that we love and everything like that. So I can't wait to watch all that energy. And then also in Vegas, because like in New York, they went back to the hotel and everything like that. Also, it's like New York, the bars are open till 4, but everyone's tired. Everyone's going to sleep. In Vegas, your bar is your hotel room, which is the club, which is like the trash room, which is where the panel is. So everyone's in like a few roofs, essentially.
Oh, I know that all weekend it is going to be painfully obvious who has not gotten any sleep, night in, night out. My prediction is a lot of the Southern Charm men and the cast of Vanderpump Rules and certain housewives, minus Shannon Bedore at this point. Hopefully. And I'm really that.
Hopefully.
But you made such a good point of like those stories that start with these housewives on Friday and whatever they say in the press will add to the panels on Saturday and Sunday, because last year we had Tamra revealing that Jen Shaw was in the hotel room with her and Heather Gay, and Heather Gay got pissed at Tamra on the Ultimate Girls Trip panel of like, I wish you hadn't have said that. And that's what I'm curious of, who, and it'll probably be Tamra again, has the big mouth that's going to reveal things that we shouldn't know.
The two T's. They're going to be plotting all around town, which I mean, yes, they will be working overtime, and I'm sure it'd be very, very captivating and interesting.
They're the Waldorf and Statler of BravoCon. It's.
I'm sure Teddy's going to do Watch What Happens Live sometime soon. She's already
with Kyle.
With Kyle. Yes.
Yeah. She won a Make-A-Wish Foundation, and she gets to go on Watch What Happens Live, which is exciting.
I will say Teddy is kind of like the Juliana Rancic now of Bravo stuff, because I feel like with Juliana Rancic, the Oscars were like Sunday night. Jules got there Tuesday, and she was just sitting. She was helping like tape and staple the carpet. That is what Teddy is doing right now in Vegas. She's at Caesars, like passing Adele. She's like, I don't have time, Adele. Like she's really getting everything into place. Yes.
Well, no, I remember I was at the Gansevoort last year, and it was Sunday, and I was so hungover having to get to BravoCon for the final day, and I got out of my hotel room, and all of a sudden, Teddy was out there with her team of people. And I remember going, I am too hungover to take an elevator with Teddy, so I took the stairs because I was like, I can't handle it.
That's
like
when you
people
know.
were like doing her hair, and I was like, it's like the Queen came out. It is like the Queen, and I love that's housewives to me. Even if you're not on the show, you're always a housewife in your mind.
Yes.
You're always that person, and I don't say that as a negative thing, but it's that ego. And I think Teddy's actually an interesting example because it's that it's a barnacle. She's with it now forever. Like she said even on the show that she wasn't going to make this her whole personality, that if I'm off the show, I'm not going to really even but like these people, like the Frenkels, the Teddys, that's all their life seems to be about then is Bravo. And by the way, Teddy is successful at it. Her podcast is huge. So you can't argue that it's not working, but I just sometimes get worried that it's,
It's so much for something, like you said, kind of like, well, she's in the interesting place because she's like not a part of it, but so a part of it. And I will say, when I do listen to her interviews, she's good. I like her much more in her podcasting lane than
everybody says that. Everybody says that. Yeah.
And I don't know if she takes that as a compliment. I hope she does, because it's like,
why wouldn't you?
I know, right?
Being good at something is being good at something.
And I think she says that she's making more money doing that than when she was on Beverly Hills. But I will say, it made me also, so any person who's very anti-Teddy, and she is very fun to make fun of, it made me look at her in a different light, I will say. Because on the show, I was like, I don't get this. But now when she kind of can just like be a little ruthless and not care and everything like that, because she's like, well, I already got fucking fired, so I don't really give a shit. It's a little more fun, especially now with Tamra being back on, because Tamra's kind of like, And Teddy's like, okay, well, you're worried about your evolution checks. I'm not.
But at the end of the day, like something that I still don't like, I feel like she's still got that eye on potentially, I got to come back potentially. That's what, even with Tamra, and we saw it work to great effect of her getting back on OC, but it's like they never want to leave the party. Like they always want to come. If they leave, then it's trying to train like in a Rocky IV montage to get back on the show. Like
in a few years.
None of these people seem to be, I was trying to think of housewives. Like maybe you could argue Adrienne Maloof in a weird way of like people that don't constantly campaign year in, year out to get back on their iteration of the series.
I know. I really can't even. Dina Manzo, I guess, is kind of just.
Yeah, no, right. And Caroline, to a degree, you know, she had the Manzo with children and obviously Ultimate Girls Trip, if that will ever come out, but she's not coming back to Jersey anytime soon.
Oh, Lord, no. Besides the state of New Jersey, anything else?
Dude, did you hear the stuff with Jersey? Like they were supposed to do like the Berkshires trip, and then supposedly there was like did you hear this?
I saw that. I didn't. I was looking on Twitter that like the trip, they couldn't go to the resort or the house they were staying at. So it was just like a final dinner, which I know a lot of people said, oh, that's going to be so underwhelming. Those ladies, you put them in line at Starbucks or Dunkin', someone's going to shout at someone and yell. So I'm excited.
People have like the wrong, like people think that we need some big production number. We need to see like, no, like I don't put them in a couple chairs, make it like inside the actor studio. Something will happen. Like I do not, like, I don't know, like, but I will say part of me was like, dude, film the reunion at BravoCon. Wouldn't you? It's like those old time sitcoms when the family would go overseas on vacation and you'd be like, oh, Alex P. Keaton and the Family Ties gang are in Paris. Like I would love Real Housewives of New Jersey finale in Vegas for BravoCon. It would be so meta, so great.
That would actually be genius. I don't know why they're not extending it, because like to get a little bit of the drama, because they will be fighting, I'm sure. Kind of on the same time, I would love if they filmed the Salt Lake City reunion there, because I'm so sad
they're not doing
that
a panel.
panel's not happening. Because I don't know if you went to that one last year. It was the best panel of this. It was the best panel.
Yeah, Whitney and Heather, we are not getting along right now still.
And they were just fighting. I remember there was even like, they were pulling up text and they were like, come up to the stage and read this text. Like they were having people from the audience come up to read. It was so fucking funny. And it was so good. And I remember like I was sitting behind Rachel Lindsay and I'm like, I'm now like her jaw's dropping, because I mean she's such a Bravo fan, her jaw's dropping. I'm like, I'm experiencing this with like a bachelorette who does like, I'm like, what is going on here? It was so magical and chaotic that I was like, damn, those ladies. And especially because this season of theirs is so good, I feel people would have loved a panel and also to see a little Monica.
Oh man, Salt Lake, yeah, you're right, but they'll all be there, so I feel like but it is interesting how much care goes into keeping these ladies in their cages, like prep. Like we got to get you prepped for this reunion. We can't we can't ruin the actual reunion. But that's another great idea, a live reunion on stage. I mean, it might be impossible, but it would be so great, even just a little piece of it.
Just like part half of one or something like that. Or everyone can sign up, be like, this will be an 8-hour day. If you want to sit, you're sitting. I would be
everybody would completely sit for that.
Yes.
But Salt Lake, to me, I think is having one of the best seasons. I mean, really, my favorite season, and I think it's firing on all cylinders. Where I love the addition of Monica. Angie K for me works in the weirdest possible way because she wants it so badly. Each of these ladies are so bizarre, but it works so well.
It works. It's a really good. I feel like everyone is able to kind of do their own thing, because I feel I love a Housewives when it's like a bunch of different feuds going on and people like mending and like getting into like disarray and everything like that. And I mean, I do love big sunglasses, so I see a lot of people shading Angie K's. There's a lot of things I'm not vibing with for her. I don't mind her eyewear game.
No, I mean, that seems to be what she's like Angeline. She's getting known for like a pink Corvette with those glasses, but that's what you got. But I love that she's trying to make those moments. She's like, maybe I can get them on the glasses. Maybe I can. I think she's so excited to have a storyline, even if it involves rumors about her husband, where she's like, oh my God, do I have the ball? Somebody gave me the ball. I got the ball. Like, she's excited.
She's like, baby, we got to have to sit down and talk about your sexuality. Get over here. And then when he was like, I was like, okay, so it was very Les Mis. It came true. I'm happy for the entire family.
Oh, Angie K needs to be in Sunset Boulevard in the West End. She would be
and
great.
She kind of gives me, yes, yeah, I could see that. With the sunglasses, they come off, they're crying. Yeah, she's ready for a close-up to
Angie
Bill.
Desmond. Where, in terms of like even just as a fan who watches these shows, who are you in a rush to talk to at BravoCon? Like, who are the ones you're like, I would kill to get a soundbite from this person?
Let me think. Well, especially because BravoCon is right around. I forget if this was the same time. The thing that happened. I feel like some of the most fan fave shows are coming back then. So like Beverly Hills. I don't know who. I would just love to talk to Erica Jane in Vegas about Vegas and her hormones and everything like that.
Oh, Danny. Oh, you're looking good. You want to come to my show?
Yeah, she would hit on you. She'd be like,
What do you got? What are you packing, Danny?
Let me tell you what happens in Vegas. I
"Wouldn't
don't
it
know.
be great if Danny was like, I did sleep with Erica Jane at BravoCon." And I got to tell you, it was wonderful. It was
I was
amazing.
like, I went for Angie K's man, and I wound up patting the puss. I wound up. I feel like honestly,
Danny going, "Is this how you pat the puss?" Just like, yeah. She's like,
I was like, is that
Yeah,
it?
huh? Just
I would
so
just be.
physical.
Sex for me is literally watching Nicole Scherzinger singing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina." So like, we'd get back to the hotel room and I'd be like, dim the lights, YouTube.com connect. It's why I'm alone. But if that's anybody's kink, please let me know. So
Oh
I'd
my
love to talk to
God.
her. I feel she'd be so fun. I'd also love. Candace is just such a good interview. She's so fun. Would love to talk to a little bit of Candace or Robin, because I feel this is going to be, you know how Kathy Hilton was last year's BravoCon? I think Robin, I feel Robin could really be having a little moment this go
Robin's going to be
around.
loose, potentially.
Robin could be a little loose.
It really is in the eye of the beholder what we'll actually see. I want to know if Kyle will bring her best friend Morgan Wade to BravoCon with her.
Ooh. If she does, it would kind of, I feel, be the thing how like Jenna's wearing jeans to the reunion. Will Kyle wear jeans on the BravoCon carpet? She's like, they're just comfy.
Will Kyle dress as Brett Michaels at the BravoCon? And I love Morgan Wade. We just like, I'm Morgan Wade. Chances are like I want to see their dynamic. And Beverly Hills, we finally get the premiere of it. And I watched the first episode, and it was really, I mean, it was interesting to get right back in there. I'm actually curious if PK will be with Dorit at BravoCon. There seems to be something, and I've seen rumors get pushed out. I don't know, but I do know that they face issues with their relationship this season, but we're so focused on this Mauricio Kyle stuff, that's under the radar.
I feel they are I think they will be together. I can't imagine them. Like, I do feel they might be having a little moment, but I think when Dorit's like, oh, Kyle Mauricio's actually having shit, I guess, okay, we'll just have our pizza night and chill. Like, it'll be fine. Because I think, unfortunately, that's going to take the center stage for everything.
Yeah, I mean, they released the first 7 minutes of the episode so everybody can see, but it was like, I love where it starts. PK was like, PK, you're eating chips. Oh, he's like, oh, I just want some chips for me. Come on, I love the chips. And I was like, is that as dramatic as we get with PK? He's like, his cholesterol's out of control.
I do love that. I'm like, okay, look at them having all like the Lay's bags of chips. They're just like us. They really are. But I do love, and I am saying, I feel Dorit's in the first, because I think this was all in the first 7 minutes, where it was like, her confessional, she's a little more woken up than the past few seasons. She's reminding me of why I love Dorit, which is great.
I'm curious to see how Sutton handles herself this season. Like Sutton could go hero or villain at any given moment, I feel.
That's why I love her, because she doesn't even know.
She
doesn't know which way
much.
she goes to. She's like, am I a villain here? And then people are like, you're the villain. She's like, oh, am I? Like, I don't even think she comprehends when she's either.
Is there any Bravo celebrity that you wouldn't be rushing to speak to? Or has there been anybody in the past that you've had an awkward encounter or interview with?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Besides Lisa Rinna, but she won't be at BravoCon.
She'll be there in spirit.
She will be. Yeah. I could see her just having like a hotel room there taking photos. I don't think so. I feel everyone's been kind of a fun vibe. There have been some people where I'm not as caught up on the show, where I'm kind of just like, so what's going, like, very like, so what's up? How are you? Which is always just like a fun moment to be in. I don't really know. I'm trying to think. Of course, I feel the ones that I'm more excited to talk to are the ones where the shows are coming out, because I feel those are always the one that's a little bit more heated up. I'm really curious to see if the New York ladies are going to be a little extra heated after the reunion
Yes.
comes out.
The second part of the
Both.
reunion will already have aired when BravoCon starts.
I'm gonna want to talk to Uba because she's saying so many things at the reunion that's making me like LOL about, or I'm just kind of like, wait, what's happening? Where I want to
Uba
ask
was
her about
coming for Jenna so hard that I
And I
don't
wanna
know
talk-
what was going on.
And because Jenna's not going to be at BravoCon, so I'm going to want to sit down with Uba, hopefully, and be like, wait, so who didn't want Jenna and why? What did Jenna do to you to piss you off? And what, like, I just kind of need some, like, dots connected there.
Yeah, it didn't really read. And then halfway through the reunion last night, I was like, well, maybe also there is a tiny language barrier in terms of she'll always be like, oh, I didn't know what that, like she was like, oh, I didn't mean that. Like somebody said it, she's like, oh, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. So I sometimes wonder when she's going that hard if she even realizes the wording or the phrasing that she's using is potentially more hurtful than it should be.
Oh, I feel she knew. Because the way she was giving the looks after, I was like, she is, because I love her. I'm like, she is giving me the housewife reunions that we know and love. And because it was perfect. It was like, Frederick's just like how he is on TV. Oh, that's nice. Unlike Jenna.
Unlike Jenna.
Oh,
I was like, oh
my God,
Andy,
it was so good.
Andy even had to go, okay, great. We'll get to that in a bit. Like Andy had to be like, whoa, like came out swinging.
I did die at someone on Twitter being like, Jenna won the mute challenge, Beyonce. Because like, she said nothing. Well, I'm kind of...
She's like that nervous, like, that's very good that, I like being a part of these ladies. Like she's always very quiet and soft-spoken. And like, she reminds me a lot of, a lot of people I know. I like the awkwardness of it. So in a sense, to me, Jenna doesn't have to do a lot, but she will continually get trampled on when these other ladies are trying to go for the prize. Like, people will always now use that against her, that she is not as vocal, that she does step away for work and all of that stuff. It's like now a negative thing for Jenna.
And it's kind of funny too, because Jenna's in the thing where it's like, it's almost like they do that, but then also I feel she almost gets upset. And then she's like, oh wait, I'm rich and famous. Okay. Like, she's like, you can be mad at me. Oh, okay.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Jenna's partying in Paris with Usher. Like, do you really think at the
getting
end of the
engaged
day,
topless, ordering like, yeah, oh, yeah, she doesn't
you
give a
think
shit.
she's sitting there going, oh, I hope Sai's okay with me giving her free gifts? Do you think anybody gives and by the way, Sai, how dare you? And if anybody wants to give me free gifts, you will never hear a complaint out of my mouth. How dare you, Sai? Oh, I get free stuff too.
Where I'm just kind of like, I feel like y'all get, like, I get free samples from time to time. I want more. I want Jenna's free samples. I get free samples when, like, there's a new Munchkin line at my local Dunkin' and they break it up into pieces of 8. I love the La Mer that Jenna Lyons is getting, or like Hermès gloves. I'll take anything.
I watch Hoarders and I think they've always got a pretty good setup. I'm like, yeah, they've got enough stuff. I like that.
I don't need a bed. I just want to be on top of boxes. It's heaven.
What do you think about Brynn this season?
You know what? I feel Brynn, there was a lot of ebbing and flowing. When she was first announced, it was head over heels with her. I thought she was like Sonia-ing, so funny, so silly. It was a lot of like the ba-dum-pum, like a lot of that going on.
She's and a sitcom at all times.
Yes. And a lot mixed. And I feel there were moments where I was like, oh, is she like, how much of this is an act? But then when I like research her, I'm like, oh wow, she really has been collecting these books and playing chess and like doing all these boards and stuff like this for years. So that's like who she is. And she's like a fun girl. And I feel she does like for her job of like PR, like it's like the fun little quick stuff and everything, which is like, so then I started to kind of get to, I was like, oh, I'd vibe with her. And now I feel I'm in a place with Brynn where I'm like, oh, I just want to be Brynn.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to effortlessly have like a pea coat with jeans and nice sneakers that cost $300 going to like a members club and then like St. Ambrose with like a Blade helicopter hat. So now I'm back to like being obsessed with her.
I feel like she's made for housewives, but sometimes that will actually, in my weird head, counts against them sometimes, where I'm like, I want somebody awkward like Jenna. I want somebody that doesn't necessarily want to be there. Like, I want somebody that doesn't know the power of this platform. And I think Brynn knows the power of this. I think she's made for it. She gives good talking head, as I say. I mean, it's really, truly incredible to watch. But the other thing that confused me, though, and it got a confusion last night again, was that she said something of like, well, I work 9 to 5, which makes no sense because earlier in the season, she says, I get paid well to work 7 hours a week. And she, like, I'm curious, like, I'm not I have really no opinion on this because I know she works in PR and like she helped with the BP oil spill that was on her resume. But is it 9 to 5 or are you doing 7 hours a week? Which is it? Like, I'm so confused.
Oh, that is true. I feel I think in that moment, she was saying she worked a lot of 9 to 5s and now she gets paid enough where it's like, because she's like, I had 5 jobs from then. Because I think now she's in like that heavenly spot that some of my friends got to a point where it's like they're just consultants and they work like a few hours a week and
She
get
told Sandra,
paid.
like, I signed your contract on a Vino
A
baby.
Vino baby. I'm like, oh God, we're like, what? Well, that's also petty housewife shit that I fucking love. That's
because people don't realize that small things can be great. I don't understand why people need bigger things. And like, I signed your contract on a Vino baby. Put it on a shirt. I love it.
And that's what made me, because I was really nervous about the start of influencers on reality TV. Because I was kind of like,
as you should be, because I don't think Sai's great. Sorry.
Well, there we have it.
Sorry.
But I'm okay with it when it's where I'm like, okay, it was all worth it for a line like that. Because it's like, oh, you did a deal for this influencer. And like back then, I don't even know what her influencing numbers were in 2017, but she got this a Vino baby deal. And I was in my head, I was like, that was probably the biggest deal Sai got at the time. Brynn was working on it. It's how they kind of run an email chain together. And like, she was holding on to that. So I was like, okay, I'm here for influencers when it's like, you can bring up petty fun partnerships they did. But I know otherwise they're realizing they can't package their landing quite
well
right.
I think if the normal public really knew how influencing worked, there would be a riot. We'd be like, how dare, this is how they make, are you kidding me? Like, they get paid how much? I also like the idea of potentially having just a housewives just based around contracts. Like, we all met each other on a contract.
I would love, because I love a fine print drama and I love all of that stuff. Yeah, it's good. I think it could be so juicy.
It's called like email chain or text thread or something like that.
Broken chain, yes.
Kind of to pivot a little bit, not another true crime podcast for Betches Media. So you guys do, how do you even go about picking what you focus on that show? And also, the proliferation of true crime has now been co-opted by pop culture, I feel, in the last bunch of years. I mean, how do you go about getting shows for that?
I know, which is it's so crazy how it's merged together, which is why I also am so excited for Kiki's podcast that's coming out, Pop Crime, because it's so good, because there's so much. I'm so excited to listen to hers. And me and Sarah, we kind of have been pivoting the past year and a half just to find the crimes that speak to us more, because me and her, she's also a Housewives fan as well, and just kind of a fan of like rich people acting a fool, and also people pretending to be rich to swindle rich people. So a lot of like scams and or like scams and crimes like that is really what we fall into, where it's like the one we have coming out next week is this guy who like was a college athlete who got injured, and then he was mad because he really wanted to still be that. So he like lied about he kept on like having new names and identities to like go to Princeton. And he was like this 29-year-old who like lied himself into Princeton and was like amazing on the track team and like a genius and everything, because he was talking to like versus 18-year-olds. So we find the stories that were kind of like, how the fuck did someone get away with this? And like, huh? But we also like to go for ones where it's like, Princeton is still $1 billion institution. They did not get hurt from this. So we like to have it be, especially more recently, crimes where we're like, nobody gets hurt. People just get fooled. And it's like rich people losing one of their many millions. So like, we can make a little fun at it, because there was some moments where we're like, oh, like the heavy crimes just started to take a toll on us. And we didn't really want to like go into them and have a little fun volley with it.
Yeah.
So now we're just in a really fun space of just like more so scams and everything.
Well, I saw you guys did an episode on telemarketers, which was an HBO or a Max docuseries, 3 parts, which I really got into. And it's basically where they, like a phone scam kind of like calling people saying that they were from like, we're calling from the policeman's union of this. And they had made a deal with the police, but they would get to collect like 90% of the profits, and the police barely got any. But it was actually a really huge, like, kind of corruption that went really high up. And these 2 guys that worked at the phone bank, through it follows like for like 2 decades, I think, or like 15 years or something. But it was wild. That was really interesting.
It was so cool. And that's what's so crazy. The Sam, the filmmaker for that, he was just like, he even said he was just like this high school kid who was just filming random stuff and putting it on YouTube to start. That's why there's so much footage from that. And it's like, because back then nobody knew. He was just like uploading it because it's kind of, you were like, oh, I guess I put it on YouTube. What is YouTube type of stuff? So he's like, oh, I had all this footage to kind of unpack it. That one and BS High are two
Oh my
recent
God, BS High.
Did you watch that?
Yes, BS High, also on Max, you guys.
Yes.
That was crazy.
So
He
fucking
created
insane.
like a big high school football team that didn't even really have a place or like, and they put them in games with these insanely good high school I mean, it was so sad that these guys, these kids, like looking for their big break in sports, and this guy, I mean, it shocked me. And then the fact that guy, the head of it all, was like doing like on camera interviews when he shouldn't have been, it was mind blowing.
Well, that's why I always say for people that like love Housewives and like, oh, like true crime scam documentaries, it's like, they can go hand in hand because like Jen Shaw was doing confessionals about her innocence, just like this guy was doing basically confessionals in this documentary about how he thought he was doing everything right and he doesn't get why people are mad at him. And then when more truth came at him, he's like, what do you do? Like, the concept of narcissism is just the most fascinating subject matter.
I mean, eventually in society, we will be required to do talking heads for our own lives, regardless if we have a show or not. You'll have to check in before you go sleep at night and talk about your day on camera. Like, that's where we're headed.
It is a terrifying reality.
Well, I was just thinking about that in terms of like even as much content. Like I was like, God, one day if they make the Danny story, if we get a documentary about Danny, they're going to be using all of your Instagram content of you speaking as a coffee of like, hey, what's up? I'm your martini. Like we have so much content to pull from now. When the Danny Murphy documentary comes out 20 years from now, we have a wealth of material to choose from. And I just think like it's wild because cameras are everywhere now. Like 20 years from now, we're talking about Britney being 20 years after the fact. What about all of us when they just start making documentaries of every human alive?
I'm going to need them. I'm going to have to put in I don't want them to use any photos of me before Ozempic because why would they do that to me? Then there'd be another documentary about me tracking down the people making the documentary about me. And also I give you, Ryan, the full right to rip me apart if it gives you more screen time in the documentary in my life, and I hope I can do the same about yours.
Okay, yeah. If anybody's calling for footage about Danny 20 years from now, and you're hearing this, please contact me. I'm sure I'll be living wherever my dad has let me live at that point. But I'm happy to give you a pull quote or be a talking head for the Danny documentary.
And vice versa for the Ryan Bailey doc. I will on camera make up things and say they're true about him if you need.
He had a huge dong. Truly, we were having a threesome with me and Erica Jane, and it was at BravoCon 2023. Truly incredible.
Why do I feel like you and Erica would have like? I would start being like, I'd be like, okay, I'll just sit over here. Like you guys would just kind of ignore me. But that's okay.
Yeah. Like I would be sweating and crying. I'd be like, Danny, unlock the door. Let me out, man. What are you doing to me?
Wait, are you? What were you gonna say?
What's that? No, please.
Oh, I was gonna say, are you excited for a little Vegas moment though?
I am, but I gotta tell you, I mean, I'm so pessimistic about everything, right? I'm just so nervous. Like I get nervous anyways. And then on top of it, I'm just exhausted. So I'm already thinking like, how do we do that? How do we get out of there alive? How do I don't know. I'm just nervous about the whole thing. I'm excited, but also it just seems like so much. And then you throw Vegas into it. Like New York was one thing, but throwing Vegas into it, I can't even comprehend how that's going to all work.
Because I'm not a fan of Vegas. I know it's really just going to be a disaster now. And it's also because Vegas is just so crowded to begin with. It's going to be so much over this. And also everything is going to be extra price because they're upcharging everything, I feel like, for this right now. It's going to be hell.
Well, then we get there and what if like we're all the Bravo geeks and then we're like, it's like bro heavy Vegas and they're like, hey, get out of my way. Like I'm worried about being picked on.
Oh, when I went to Vegas, I feel like I didn't see a single bro, actually. It was a lot of elderly people in wheelchairs putting their cigarettes out in their daiquiris, which made me very depressed. And then a lot of, just like groups of 15 people. Everything, it was kind of like Madeline, but like girls falling in heels, myself included, of like, just that's kind of the Vegas vibe. I feel it's not too bro-y, but I also went to the Katy Perry residency, so maybe that's why I missed them.
Well, see, that's what I also wonder, is Adele or Katy Perry going to make any kind of appearance at this event? Like, we had Chrissy Teigen last year. Like, will we get any kind of special things that we're not expecting that have to do with Vegas right now?
Oh, you're right. I could see a little, because I think
Like,
Adele
is Usher going to come
maybe?
out at any point?
All right. Now, Usher, please, I would love that. We could pat the puss. I feel, and maybe Kylie Minogue, because I think she's starting around the time. I really was like, there was a part of me, I was like, can I like go to see? But I'm like, I don't think I have time to see a fucking residency.
I was talking to Gibson and Gibson Johns and Dylan Hafer the other night, and they were like, Gibson was like, should I go see Katy Perry? I'm like, yeah, go see Katy Perry. I mean, of course. I mean, like, is U2 gonna show up at BravoCon? Like, Bono's a big fan of the Housewives.
In the Sphere thing, right? Isn't that their thing? I'm not going to that. That freaks me out. But yes.
I mean, that Sphere though. You can pay $600,000 and you can put any ad on it that you want, but it's $600,000. I want Aviva Drescher's leg projected on the Sphere. Could you imagine, like, welcome to BravoCon and it's Aviva's leg?
Honestly, I feel if every person who bought a ticket gave you $5, I feel you could get to that number.
Should I start a GoFundMe right
Yes,
now?
honestly,
I'm trying to put
get the
Aviva's
Sphere.
leg on the Sphere for BravoCon, please.
Or I feel I wonder. I guess it's like they wouldn't cut it down. I'm like, I feel NBCU has to be doing something to make that happen.
That's what I think so too. I think something, because they're going to try to push that out. They're going to try to get those page 6 headlines, all of that stuff. Are you going to ask, you and Evan? I mean, is one of your questions going to be, how much have you lost this weekend?
Oh, I didn't know what you were talking about. I thought you were talking about the Vanity Fair article that's only coming out. I was like, I'm not asking that. Oh, about people gambling.
What did you think in terms of how much?
I thought you meant like the stock of NBC. I was like, no, Ryan, I'd actually not like to get to Las Vegas. I don't want to be in like the tension of Caesar's Palace. I'd actually rather not be thrown in the fountain by security.
No, I don't. I'm not a part of the reality reckoning. I'm pro Bravo.
Yes, I'm pro us all being able to do what we do. Maybe because gambling scares me, but I feel a lot of Bravo people. I think some of the reality stars probably like to gamble. So
someone's gonna be like, I gambled. All a sudden concept. I say.
Oh, I hope she doesn't gamble her horse.
Yeah. By the way, we get to meet her horse this season. She bought a horse that's more than Garcelle's Birkin, and I think would it be great if Sutton did bring the horse to take Bravo photo ops with.
I love how that's her Matt Damon. We bought a zoo. She's like, well, I bought a horse.
I bought a horse, y'all. I saw Matt Damon bought a zoo. I also want a photo op where it's like a freeze frame picture of Heather Gay in the RV with just that line of urine falling out, and you can like pose with it.
Vegas. Something tells me Heather Gay's going to be in another RV doing that. I mean,
and I want a back alley of Sir photo op. Like if they built the back alley of Sir, wouldn't that be magical?
That would be really nice because I know they're doing the booths again, and I wonder if there will be like photo setups like that because that'd be very cute. Because I also really don't understand I know Vegas does conventions all the time. I'm very still confused about like the layout of anything. So I feel there could be potential for something like that, but probably not.
As we wind down here, you're probably going to have to talk to Tom Sandoval, and I'm sure he'll be paired up with Tom Schwartz. You're going to be talking to him. What do you ask Tom Sandoval in your head? Of course, he has the podcast now. Everybody loves Tom. He's on Special Forces on Fox. What do you like? Hey, man, how was your summer? What do you do?
Here's the honest to God thing. I want to ask him, should I blow up my life and ruin all my relationships to look that good? Because I'm sorry.
Danny, you're disgusting. How dare. Dude, this is what are you talking about?
I'm disgusting.
Danny, this is what it's so ridiculous. It's about what's on the inside, Danny.
Who taught you that? Okay. Yeah, everybody. It's
romantic comedies taught me that.
That's gotten me that. Oh, the new one with Sydney Sweeney and whoever that I don't want to watch. That looks so fucking bad. It looks so fucking bad. Yeah, I don't think they were casted for what's on the inside of them.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say, because I'm not saying I'm attracted to Tom Sandoval.
You are kind of.
But no, I'm more attracted. No, my flaw is I'm attracted to Tom Schwartz because I like fixer uppers. And I'll like, you know what? I'm on prep. I'll get tested. Wear a condom. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Oh, cool, man. Oh, what's prep? Oh, like SAT prep. Cool, bro.
Or he's on preparation age. Yeah. I just like because I feel like he's like channeled into a lot of working out. I think he's gotten a lot of work done, but kind of in the way that some other male Bravo celebrities get it done in a like very tasteful way. So my theory is there's like for men in like under 42 on Bravo, they're passing around a surgeon. And I think Tom Sandoval has it. I think someone else I feel who maybe is on Southern Charm got a little light work done that looks really good. So I think, he looked, because when he was on Watch What Happens Live, he looked amazing in the sense where it's kind of like the Jennifer Lawrence and No Hard Feelings. Now everyone's getting mad at me. Where she looked like she had something done, and I was like, and everyone's like, she had a kid. I'm like, no, I'm not saying. I know what a maternal glow looks like. I'm saying this is not that. I'm saying her cheekbones look different, and I think that's with Craig. So I kind of want to ask that, but I also I feel like I want to talk to the Vanderpump Kitties to kind of see what's next, because I don't think we can. Because when you asked me, Sandoval, I don't have a single question left about any of what I'm okay. I got my fill with it.
I would be curious.
Rachel's,
I would be curious about Rachel in the sense of, did you hear she made $17,000 off that lightning bolt necklace and the Tom Tom hoodie for charity? What did you feel about that? Like, I would want to know. And my other question is, did he bid? I have this weird feeling that he bid and potentially won.
He's
like,
a narcissist.
Dude, it was special. I needed the bid on. Like, I part of me thinks that he potentially bid on that.
Oh, he bid it to resell it to not charity.
I'm selling this for double the cost.
I am. Well, now I do want to. Obviously, she won't be there, but I want to ask Rachel, what are these brunches with Bethany going on? Because I'm curious with all that too. I'm like, what was that?
Yeah, and that's where. So this reality reckoning, which I've talked about on the show. So this Vanity Fair deeply reported piece, which by the way, Page Six ran deeply reported in quotes, and it cracked me up because I was like, deeply reported feels like a bad sex thing of like, oh my God, you're deeply reporting me. Oh my God, stop. But
Schwartz, stop.
Schwartz, but you know that's going to come out during BravoCon. You know that's going to come out during BravoCon.
100%.
And
but it's also a thing too where I feel that's going to happen, but I can't imagine even me interviewing. I'm not going to want to ask any, because it's like no one's going to talk about it. So it's also, I get it coming at that time to like Bravo's biggest weekend and boom. But I don't think anyone's going to want to ask, like, no one's going to be like, Alexia, did you read the Vanity Fair article?
I heard they overserve on Bravo. Like, who cares? I mean,
she's like, what?
I just think, the burn it all down approach, I'm just not with. And I'll wait for the Page Six recap of the Reality Reckoning article, which will give me the 5 pull quotes that I need.
That you need, yes.
I just feel like, and the Bethanini podcast, which now they're teaming up for a podcast. And I wish Nene would go solo. I just feel like bad vibes. All bad vibes for me.
I kind of would have loved a solo Nene. I don't know if you have in your mind, I feel like I haven't asked them. I feel like I kind of know who's writing the Vanity Fair article. But I don't know if it's them, but I kind of think it is. And that's just also that.
What, would Gore Vidal? Who's
I'm like, what if I'm like, oh, it's Andy Cohen himself. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I'm very curious about that. But yeah, Nene should have gone solo because what are they going to talk about wasn't just discussed on the podcast they did together?
Well, what would be great though is if they eventually turn on each other, is that Nene's like,
gonna happen.
Shut the I feel at a certain point, I don't know. It's very interesting. We live in such weird times. And that's why I wish Andy Warhol was still around, because I would love his take on the Housewives, because we've really created this whole different genre of star, and it's very interesting to see where this goes from now. But I'm just never down with the burn it all down approach, because I just feel like there's a hidden agenda that is self-serving instead of actually trying to help others.
Well, and that's the American dream, because it's just everyone, because it'd be like, oh, burn that down, but now come to my thing that's kind of the replica that I'm pulling in to get the money that's now from that type of thing. So there's never a for good element of that.
When's the final thing when does your actual master plan show? Are you starting the Bethany Network? When does it show? When is
she's
the
doing
final?
That on YouTube, I guess.
Yeah. I love watching her eat bagels with her mouth open. Danny Murphy, just truly an amazing dude. This was just a treat for me. 2 podcasts, not another true crime podcast with Betches, and of course, Page Six's virtual Reali-TEA with Evan Reel, and their live show. I think they're probably doing a new live show soon, which you need to get tickets for, because they always have the best guests, and then usually people get themselves in a lot of trouble saying things at these events, which is just amazing. But Kashmir Danny on Instagram, I'll put all that information, but you probably already follow him, but he is just one to watch in this space and always been a hero of mine. So thank you, dude, for talking to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and I can't wait to see you in Vegas.
Yes, you better, you better prep with me in Vegas. No, actual like question prep, like prep questions.
Hey, whatever happens, happens. It's more for the documentaries. Yes.
Sexy. Power Plus.
Danny Murphy, ladies and gentlemen.